Welcome back, everybody. My name's Tamara Grand. It is Tuesday, the 14th of March, perhaps. Barb can correct me if I'm wrong. This is episode 57 of No Brush Required. Reed. Hi, Connie. How are you? Good to see everybody.
I think it is the 14th, yes?
It's actually Happy Pie Day, 3.141. You have to have pie today.
Oh, Roman, pick us up a pie. I didn't know. Not every day was Pie Day.
No, it's the mathematical pie, right?
Oh.
3.141. We always try to remember it at my house, and then I always forget.
Okay,
so
Roman.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, he just acknowledged it. Did you know that, Roman? He said yes. He knew that. I don't know.
What kind of pie are you having?
I don't know. What kind of pie are you going to get us? Chocolate cream. Oh my God, I would like that.
I think I might.
With graham cracker crust.
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna do mixed berry because I have so many frozen berries in my freezer from last summer that I need to get rid of, use up.
Are you baking it?
I'm
do you
going
bake?
to. I sure do.
You are a woman of many talents.
I am amazing. A baker extraordinaire.
That's so good to know.
Yeah. I'll send you a birthday cake next year.
Oh, I would like that. Saul, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just don't know where the time's gone. I can't believe it's already mid-March.
I know. And we're on March break here. I don't know if you guys are at West, but
I don't pay attention anymore now that the boys aren't in that kind of school, so it doesn't really affect us at all. The universities already had their reading break or whatever they call it last month. So,
well, March break used to be very important to me because I'd be off for 2 weeks when I was teaching.
Yes,
but now it's like every week is March break.
It used to be very important to me because I had to all of a sudden find things for kids to do for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I bet. So it's nice to be in kind of vacation mode. It fits with our theme today.
It does. Are you still? So today we were going to do a pop on, which meant anybody who wants to join on and chat with us, we're going to meander. And Barbara just got back. Well, I shouldn't say just anymore because it's been a few weeks since you got back from your phenomenal trip to the Barbados. Whoops, sorry. I'm touching tables and things are jiggling.
I know. I need to adjust stuff, but I don't really want to because I'm terrified.
Hi, Douglas.
Yeah, Douglas. Hi.
So we originally were going to talk about a couple of weeks back. We were thinking about, how vacations influenced or holidays influenced our art practice before, after, during, all that stuff. And we can, if you're still thinking about that, if you haven't jumped on to the next thing yet, we can still happily talk about that.
Yeah, no, I have not moved on yet. I am still very much thinking about Barbados and the colors. I was thinking about this in the shower today, that every place you visit, it's like a different color palette. So when I'm here in Southern Ontario in the middle of winter, the colors have a certain look to them, right? And it stays that way. And then you go to somewhere tropical like Barbados and just flips the palette on its head, which can't not influence you for a double negative. Can't not influence.
Can't help but influence you.
There you go. Bingo. Yeah. So I don't know your thoughts on that. I don't know anybody else's thoughts on that.
Well, no, and I truly believe that. So last summer I was in Portugal, right? And when we came back from Portugal, I started using all these more natural colors, not so the bright pops of color anymore. So there was lots of earthy orange and green and browns and yellows and things that were creeping into the collage work that I was doing. And for me, it's not just the colors, it's also the textures, especially if you go to some place that's kind of old world. And so, we were walking on cobblestone streets and they were a huge part of every day. They were a nuisance because we didn't have the right footwear, drag and roller suitcases or that sort of thing. And in some of the places we were, the cobblestones are so worn that they're slippery. So you're walking along, if there's any water on the street, they're super slippery. You slide on them. So I came home and there was more texture happening in my work too. So
Okay, this is backwards. This is from Roman. But it's
pi,
completely.
pi to 50 digits. Way to go, Roman. Do you know them off by heart is the question.
Do you know them off by heart?
Only get to 1519.
Oh yeah, me
Only
too.
the first couple. Thank you.
Thank you,
Chocolate
Bear.
cream pie, please, if you're going to be near a pie place. He's on his way out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think Connie, you mentioned something about turquoise was creeping into your work. Were you someplace recently that turquoise was a predominant color? I mean, you were, Barb. Certainly, the water, not the Mediterranean, sorry, Caribbean.
Unbelievable turquoise. The most. It doesn't look real, and if anyone who's watching right now has been to the Caribbean, it is the most gorgeous shade of turquoise, and it's got this luminosity to it. And you almost think it can't be real. Like this is Cecil B. DeMille Hollywood level, almost CGI created, but it is absolutely stunning. And I don't even know how you'd recreate it with your paints. I guess I could try.
Well, and you came home and your work started to take that direction. Actually, it started to take that direction before you went.
I know. Like, how funny is that? And then when I got there, Connie, you were in Barbados in 2020. It's stunning, isn't it? I'd like to go back now, actually. But it's funny because I made you can't see the painting, but there's like a totem back there that has stripes and some pink. And then I realized when I got to Barbados, I pulled my bathing suit out. And I thought, I know where the stripes are from. Maybe I was thinking about my bathing suit, but of course, I love stripes, right? But it was the same kind of color palette. And then the sunrise, or sunsets, actually, the sunsets, which we could see from the condo we were staying at over the Caribbean Sea, were just like crazy beautiful with these pinks. And so there were a lot of pinks, ironically, in the piece I painted before I went to Barbados. So it's kind of like I knew what was coming. And then the piece behind me I've painted since I got back, and it's got little pops of pink, different blues, lots of glazing. So you're getting that kind of interesting water effect. Thank you for the hearts. So pink is something, I think pink is sticking with me right now.
Right. Yeah. And so another question on the vacation theme, do you paint or do you do art when you're on holiday?
No.
Okay.
They do, I know. And I saw a couple of people posting, and people will take a sketchbook. Now I took a feather out of your cap and only took my little carry-on bag to Barbados. So I really didn't have room to put much in it. And I think a sketchbook would have just taken me over the top.
Yeah.
But no, I took photos, and I just wanted to enjoy where I was. I really wanted to just immerse myself.
Yeah, and then you come home and the photos can be used as reference or not, or they're in your memory.
They're just there. I think artists are like sponges. I think we just can soak up where we are. How about you? Do you do any art when you're away?
When I first started painting, I painted in watercolor, and I did take a little watercolor sketchbook with me when I went on a month-long trip to the UK, and I painted pretty much every day. I did little sketches, pencil, and then fill in very, very simple sorts of things of like doors and walls. And in Scotland, I painted like the sheep in the middle of the road because that was a classic quintessential.
Yeah.
So, but it was more about just capturing little moments that were interesting to me and trying to get them down in that sketchbook. And watercolor certainly is easy to do that because I made my own little travel tin, out of a little Altoids tin, and I put a bunch of little pans in there, and that was really quite easy. I think now that I don't paint in watercolor, I wouldn't think to take paints at all. And I'm not much of a sketcher, although every now and then I look at people doing urban sketching and I think that might be kind of fun to try. So that would be more amenable. But with acrylics and mixed media sorts of things, it's too much to take, and then it's too much cleanup wherever you are. So I think I'm more like you. But I do take a lot of photos that would be maybe composition studies. So not a pretty photo that I want to just reproduce, but maybe I see something interesting, especially again when you go to old world sorts of places, you see very cool rocks or walls or distressed
Mhm.
doors. I love doors, you know,
Yeah.
like door frames and things, or interesting little skinny streets, and you can get kind of an interesting view down them, a different angle down them.
Mhm.
And then you come home and you think, I'll sort of see that the larger shapes and the
Yeah.
compositional elements that might be of interest to me. So
Mhm.
that's sort of how I do it. And
Well,
then, of
actually,
course, my other favorite thing to do on holiday related to art is go to as many local art
mhm.
galleries, museums, whatever as possible,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. While you were talking, I just got this flashback to I have taken materials on vacations before. I don't know, Marnie, my sister, just popped on. Maybe she remembers. But when I was an art student and we were going to Barbados as a family every year at Christmas time, one year I did take my Caran d'Ache. I had the Caran d'Ache crayons and
Right.
took some sketchbooks, and I did make drawings, but not of things. I made them of my family. So I have drawings of, my brother sitting and having coffee at breakfast, or
Yeah.
my sister Jan. And I still have them actually. My sister Jan, like sitting, next to mom. So I've got portraits of my family. I don't know, Marnie, were you there? Did I do you? I don't remember. Um,
Uh-oh, you're in trouble
or
now.
maybe I did, Martin, and it's somewhere. But I actually still have those drawings. And my younger brother, Brian, asked for the two that I did of him. And I think he's got them now framed and hanging. And I remember finding them and going, yeah, this is what I did when I was down there. Not the palm trees,
Right.
not the ocean, but just my family kind of sitting around doing, like
Yeah.
just normal stuff before we'd head off to the beach. So,
I love that.
yeah.
I love it. And I do see lots of our friends on
Mhm.
Instagram who take sketchbooks with them, and they'll sit outside in stormy weather and sketch the ocean. And
Mhm.
a part of me, a part of that really appeals to me. And then it's always the packing conundrum, right?
It's the packing, and it's also, I'm a bit of a wuss, right? Like if I'm sitting on the beach, I've got on my sunblock so I'm sticky, and then I've got sand everywhere, so it's like, and I don't want to mix art supplies with all of that. And I want to swim.
Yeah.
When I'm there, I just want to be able to hop in the water. But if I was going a month, maybe I would take some materials
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah. Oops. Next time we get together. Oh, Marnie says she wasn't there. Is that you, Marnie?
I think you're right, Marin. Where were you? Because, yeah, I have Jan, I have Bruce, I have Brian, I have Mom, and I have Dad. Maybe got married, or maybe you were invited. No, you were. No, she was invited. She was definitely, you were somewhere else. And yes, I will dig out those pictures and find them, except for the ones of Brian.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, actually, and the Caran d'Ache crayons were great because university. There you go. The Caran d'Ache crayons were great because you could mix them with water and get those watercolor effects, but then you could also draw. So they were probably the best materials for me to have there.
Right. Yeah. And easy cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and 100%, I agree with that, Connie. Holidays to get away from what I do at home, especially if it's short. Like I think you're right, Barb. If it were longer, like
Hmm.
when we retire, whatever that looks like, and if we decided we want to spend a couple of months in Palm Springs in the winter, then I'm going to need to set up
Yeah.
an away from home studio. I'm going to have to figure that sort of thing out. But we leave for Italy in 3 weeks. I know, terrible. And I'm not taking any art supplies with me at all. I don't think that I'll have the opportunity. We're only gone 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
And there is something to be said for just take it all in with your eyes,
yeah.
and take it all in, when you're out walking and
I think
checking out
I think
different places.
there's a wee bit of art to see in Italy.
Might be. Here they had that thing called the Renaissance, so there
Oh
might
yeah.
be some really cool. Maybe, but that could be a
I
rumor.
think we'll be looking at a lot of art. So
I did see art in Barbados, but it's not like there wasn't a lot. So let's put it that way. You'd get somebody sitting, at front of the grocery store with like a little easel painting kind of touristy things. I don't know what the gallery scene is down there. If there is much, it's tiny. Barbados is
yeah.
tiny, and everything is about tourism. So, it's not really something I'm too familiar with in terms of what's happening here.
I don't know if anybody wants to pop on and tell us about vacations and art making. You're welcome to. All you have to do is hit the little plus camera, the little camera symbol with the plus at the bottom of your screen, and then when I hit accept, you get a little square of your own here. If you don't want to, that's fine. We can always just meander and catch. We're doing a catch up this week, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. So what do you? I love the well, you know, I love the paintings you've been doing with the different areas in them, right?
Yes.
They go together, but they're very distinctive and standing apart. Love those.
You know what? I'm really excited about them, and in fact, I'll do a little plug here because I am going to release 5 pieces to my newsletter list later this week. I've got to get my photography done, and I'm just waiting for the right light right now. So if you're not on my subscriber list and you want to see those paintings and get first chance at them, just go to my bio and add your name. I'd love to have you there. Yeah, it's been really interesting because what I've really let myself do the last, I think since we got back from New York, but in particular the last 3 months, is stop the shouldn'ts and the must nots and the can'ts and the have tos, and doing whatever the hell I want.
That's hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. It's really hard, and letting the work evolve. And so, you know, in the past, I would kind of have an idea of what a series was going to look like, and I would start out with, you know, 8 or 10 pieces because I was working smaller then too. And a lot of times you push things that don't want to stay what they are to be part of the group. And so I've just been letting myself go, and I've been taking the works on paper that I've been playing with, and I've been combining them with the works on panel, putting them together, and it's kind of like a mosh pit of colors and techniques and materials. And I was really excited about you know, I've done straight line work before, but never with like precision straight lines.
Yeah.
And so I got that T-square a couple of months ago, and I've been throwing little bits in and playing around with that. And the work just, it feels like me. It feels like a big messy pot of me.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
No, and you can tell, right?
Yeah.
You can tell. I think, you know, thinking back to Rob Zott's online workshop, for me, I love what he was saying about kind of working individually on a piece versus a series, right? And I'd always heard, oh, have a series going, right? So you got like 5 or 6 pieces going, and they're all part of a family. And they may not all want to be part of that family. Some of them may want to do something else. And I really have kind of shifted my thinking. So the big one behind me, that's all I was working on. I was not working on 5 of these and hoping that I've got something that's going to all go together. And it was freeing in a way because it didn't matter. It's an individual personality. It took a while for it to figure out which direction it was going, but when it did, it was exciting. And had I had more of these going, I don't know if it would have been the same way. So that for me was a big takeaway from Rob, is just to kind of shift, especially when you're working large, that a series isn't always necessary.
And I find the interesting thing too is, and so I'm still working on a couple of pieces at a time, but I'm not requiring myself for them to be talking to each other. It's more like I'm working away on something and I need some drawing time, and I'm like, I wonder what happened if I did it this way instead. Oh, let's go start another one that I can do that way. And so I'm kind of bringing them up along together. And then it's interesting because the pieces are all related. And so if I laid them out in the order that I was done, there is a journey that you could see the way things are moving. And it's still happening. I mean, I've got a bunch of work now that's still continuing on from that, and I can see that exploration happening for a long time. But once, instead of identifying what that series is about at the get-go and then making the paintings conform to the idea, it's really neat to sit down after you've got 4, 5, 6 pieces, scatter them around you, sit on the floor and look around at them and like, what are these about? And then getting them to tell you what they are. Do you know what I mean?
Do we even have to know what they're about?
No.
Like, is that important?
Part of my brain kind of wants to understand what I've been working on, and yeah, it's a good question. And I think there's a lot of levels, like there's a lot of layers to the stuff I'm doing on now. I could talk about it on a bunch of different levels. And I was with a friend, my friend Devin Ronner, who lives local, and we were talking about things. And she said to me, you know, you don't have to tell everybody all the details about what's going on in your mind in your work. You know, there might be several levels of information or storytelling that you want, and you don't have to go super deep and be, you know, super emotional, or, and maybe sometimes those stories are just for you, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to think about it, because I do feel that pressure to talk about my work and to be able to say something about what it means, where it came from, where it's going.
Yeah, it's not everything has a deep meaning. Or maybe, as you say, looking back at it, you can identify it. For me, it's often about the colors, the feeling. So there's a feeling, I can't quite put my finger on what it's meant to be. And it's to me, fascinating to get feedback on things, on pieces, and from other people. So like, you know, especially abstract work, right? It's not like, oh, it's a scene and I recognize the scene, but when it's abstract, there's just so much more room for the viewer.
Right. And I think sometimes you want to leave, and Brenda agrees. I think sometimes you want to leave that open, because if you package it all up in this little tidy story and you tell everyone this is what the painting's about, it doesn't give them any room to interpret it the way they want to interpret it. It might mean something different to somebody, and they might be more inclined to buy your work if it resonates with their, you know, if they have their own story and that they identify personal connection to it, as opposed to the story that you've defined for them.
Sometimes it's just fun to paint.
I totally agree. And I've really, really been embracing that. What if, let's explore, it's only paint. What's the worst that can happen? I've really, really been going deep into that lately. And it's kind of surprising what comes out.
Yeah, and kind of pushing through an area, like a phase of the painting where it's just so freaking ugly. or worse, to me, it's just kind of blah, like there's nothing about it. But it's necessary. I find it's actually necessary to get on that layer of blah, because it pushes you to do something kind of risky, which always ends up with something more exciting. Like now when I look at this painting, and I was listening to your live chat on, what was it?
Last week with Jeanette Bergstrom and Terry Wilson. If this canvas could talk.
If this canvas could talk. And I mean, I'm a pretty impetuous person when it comes to painting. So you mentioned, what was it, sap green? And I thought, I'm going to get out my I'm easily influenced, right? And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to just throw it on the ground and I'm going to get out my sap green. Happen to have it here. And I thought, well, Tamara's talking about it. I'm going to, you know, she's reminded me that it's a great color. I almost never use it. And it made all the difference. So just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of going with your gut and not being afraid. And it's just paint. And the more paint, the better.
Yes.
So that you can do more later.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things you know, to the point about that messy middle and sticking with it, I've learned with the process that I'm using now and building up all of these layers and using addition and subtraction, that I'm not even going to get to anywhere near where I want to be with my work until I put a lot of hours in it. So there's no point in standing back and trying to direct the painting and trying to look for the composition until I've spent, you know, 6 or 8 hours building up those translucent layers, and only then can I then having the confidence to know that I'm going to get past this point. This is always what happens here. I always get stuck. There's nothing here. Just keep working with the process, and something will come out that you can work with later.
You want to see my new favorite tool for painting?
Yeah.
Aside from, well, tape. Oh. This is and this was Joanne Godinier. Because I saw her using this in a video and I thought, wow, maybe there's some possibilities. I find this the most fun tool for moving paint, and especially especially on a big piece, 36 by 36 wood, you've got a lot of real estate to use it, but it leaves marks that I have almost no control over.
Yeah.
The only thing I can control is the viscosity of the paint, so that makes a difference, and where I put the color. And I'll do a lot of my blending right on the panel. So this to me has just been so much fun to use, to create these like crazy marks that that's sort of my new, not new, but it's my, I don't want to see much of my hand in a painting unless it's that precision line.
Right.
But I don't want to see a lot of like, oh, you used a brush to do that, or I don't want to see it. I don't know where that comes from, but
yeah. And Connie said she likes a bold move, so that tool is a bold move. I'd love to know anybody else out there into really bold moves, and what's the boldest move you've ever made on a painting?
Yeah.
What's the boldest move you've ever made on a painting, Barb? You guys can
me?
comment. Throw your comment. I want everybody out there. Tell me your boldest move, because I'm looking for bold moves. Just type it in the comments.
Honestly, grabbing the sap green and actually just using sap green, but then I think I actually added, I think I told you, I added probably the most intense color known to man, which is the phthalo blue, red shade or green shade, right?
Is that
like
the turquoise?
This is the red shade, which I love, but it also comes in the green shade. It's just that blue. You get one drop and it's everywhere, right?
I love it.
I do too.
And it stains your hands.
It stains everything, like everything. So using the sap green and adding that, and then get my little water spritzer and just going across all there was a lot of white on this and a lot of really thick paint, but it was very, I'd call it mushy. Like there was no delineated areas on the panel. So grabbing this and just squirting away and just doing all kinds of fun things, all of a sudden it just started to take shape. Went back many times and did it again and again. I went back with white, and then I went back with blue, and then I went back in with the dark colors. So you're getting these really, really interesting layers and textures. It also removes paint nicely too.
Oh, good.
So if you throw down something really dark, you can actually scrape it back and then bring up underneath, but still get a stain. So that to me is probably the boldest thing I've done.
Yeah, Connie uses phthalo blue lovely. Her paintings are lovely with phthalo. I use it all the time too. And turquoise. I'm a big turquoise fan.
Now, I have to be careful with it, because if I mix it with white, I end up with what I call a toothpaste color. I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't like that toothpaste color. So there's just this fine line. I like it intense, but I like to layer on top of it. And if I mix it with white, it's like, there's that toothpaste. Don't want it.
Who said that? Oh, yes. A bright, hot pink over a landscape was primarily greens. I love pink and green together. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my high school days and Ralph Lauren and wearing green shorts, like preppy Kelly green shorts, and a pink polo shirt.
I love neon. Yeah. But I love neon in, well, our luminous opera and all those other colors that we get through Holbein. Those colors, I love them, because if you can use a lot of it and then layer on top, and then you get little pops of that neon coming through, or mix that luminous opera with white, and the pink up here in that corner to me is just like, it's this yummy meringue pink. I can't get it any other way except with white and a little bit of luminous opera, and I think there might have even been some Titan buff in there. It's the only way I can get that like meringue pink.
Okay, I'll tell you another color you can add to that luminous opera that is amazing. Add pyrrole orange.
I have it. I have 2 tubes. And
add those.
You get this crazy, intense pink orange.
It's amazing, and it just, especially if you use it underneath and then go over it and then subtract back into it, it is the most delicious color.
It's like disco. It's like it's like a great, I know, that orange and pink coming together. Do you feel that because we talked about the light fastness of those colors, right? They're not light fast at all, and you need to varnish with UV protection. But I part of me I just want to mix in a little bit of a color that is light fast. And I think it's almost like putting mixing sunblock in with those colors. As much as I love them straight, to use them straight, I just want to add just a little something to give it some protection.
Yeah. I've never used phthalo next to ultramarine. I'm curious now, and I have a lot of blues. I would say blue, of all the colors in my palette, I have more blues than anything else. I'm going to try that, Laura.
Yep. Just all the blues. I like all the blues together. And yes, even teal. I do love the are you thinking golden teal? That one?
Yes, it's over there. Yes.
This guy.
Yep. I have it in that and in the liquid form.
Yeah, yes.
And I have one from Chroma, and I have Liquitex one. I have all of the teals.
And actually, I've gotten to the point where I can't even hear anything in this. When I'm getting down to the bottom, adding a lot of water.
Oh, and you can add medium to it too. That's the other thing. I throw glazing medium in because I put that in everything I paint anyways.
You're using glazing medium with everything?
Yeah, I always add glazing when I'm mixing my colors. It just makes the paint go on. I like the way the paint goes on, and I like the shine, and I like extending my paints because I go through. I'm not very efficient in my use of paint. Like I just pour out whatever I want. So
I'm sure I waste a ton. But it's
not Pretty
really
says all blues work together. Thank you. I love that. You know what? I think all colors work together.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that one. No, it's not how do you spell it? It's this one. Anthraquinine blue. Oh, it's, yes, indanthrone blue is the undercolor. You're right. It's interesting. It's kind of
the purpley?
Well, I think it's made with ultramarine and Prussian. I think there's an element of that, and it's fairly opaque.
Yeah.
It's a good one though. It's a good one. I know. I go through phases. I have a favorite, and then I use it and use it and use it, and then I hop to something new, and it becomes the new favorite. You know how it is.
Oh, absolutely. Do you ever mix cobalt and ultramarine?
Never.
Try it. Because they shouldn't work together because one is cool and one is warm, and don't ask me which is which because I have this like mental block what's what. But I love to mix them together and then add a little bit of Titan Buff or one of the other Titan colors instead of just white.
Yeah. And
then get something really interesting.
Titan Green, isn't that one of your favorites?
Titan Green, Titan, where are they? Violet. There's one that's like a light, almost like a light lilac.
Yeah.
And if you mix that with yellow, you get this beautiful gray, like a chromatic soft gray. And I love that. I'm now loving whites that aren't quite white, grays that are like a mix of everything, but then are either distinctively warm or distinctively cool. Hey, they come out with the new, speaking of, because this is very warm, this version, the 2021 Vancouver Gray is very warm. It's very greenish.
Yeah.
So it's my warm.
I just bought their gray gesso.
Look at that.
Which is more neutral.
There's my gray.
Yeah. That's what mine looks like too. They told me something at the store. I told her I was doing that with my Vancouver Gray. What we're talking about is we have this monochromatic gray, and we both add whatever paint is left on our palette back into it. She suggested adding a couple of drops of household ammonia to it. To keep it from because it'll go bad.
Mine doesn't smell bad.
But she said over time it will. So that was a little tip that they gave me last time I was down at, this is Chroma Acrylics on Granville Island that we're talking about.
How do I know if it's bad?
Canadian company, it'll start to smell and it'll grow stuff apparently.
Okay, well mine has a smell, but didn't it always have an odor?
Yeah. Their paints has a tiny bit of an odor to it.
Yeah, so I don't think it's changed, but yeah, but it never, like, it's not going down because I keep adding. So maybe I should add a little bit of ammonia, and that's okay. That'll
apparently, yeah, just a couple of drops of household ammonia, mix it
and
in
then stir it in. But I kind of like it all streaky. Because
I do too.
I'll dip my palette knife in, and it's like, oh, there's some leftover pink and some green, and then slather it on.
As
Oh
a
well, if it goes bad, it
yellow.
goes bad. It wasn't that expensive, right?
That's true. This is turning into a talk about color today. Apparently, we're talking about color today.
Because we
What's
need
your favorite
to, because
color?
we're excited about color.
I'm always excited about color. Can't you see what's behind me? Look at all that color.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm all
And
about all the colors.
I love all the vibrant colors these days.
I had to laugh when my son, so I did a painting for my son for his first apartment a little over a month ago, and he kind of came in and looked all around the studio, and he said, "Well, I don't know, I don't really like the jelly beans too much." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. They're an acquired taste." And he said, "To be honest, I just like something black and white."
That's which is not something you do normally, right?
So I did start with black and white, and I said, okay, I can do that. But then I went, I can't use black. So I used Payne's Gray. I used my Liquitex Payne's Gray, which is more of a gray than a blue, more of a black than a blue. And then I added a pop of cadmium red.
Yeah.
And so, but I kept them separate. I made sure the red didn't turn into pink or anything too
and then
weird
it's a
for
funny
him.
pink with
Yeah.
with cadmium red. It's like a brown pink.
Yeah. So he got he got black and white and a lot of different shades of gray in there, and then he got some really interesting solitary pops of red color, and he loves it. He's just so excited. He was really happy that I didn't just stick with black and white.
There you go.
So,
like I've done black and white studies, especially for part of the Creative Visionary program. And I always think I just want to paint over it with, I just want to glaze it with something that's not, this black and white, titanium white is white and chalky, and you know, carbon black is black. Yeah. And there's just no nuance, right? I know there's some people who really do a great job with black and white, but for me, with acrylic paint, it's just not.
And every course I've taken, that's pretty much been the start. The first couple of lessons are black and white, and then you get to add 3 primaries. I'm like, just get on with the color.
I know. Like, I don't want to make another value scale, a gray scale. I don't want to keep making gray scales. Or if I'm going to make a gray scale, I want to make my own gray, my own dark, you know, almost black. And then, because it's just such a chalky look.
Yeah.
Damn it. Anybody out there who's about to do a workshop and assign like the grayscale to their students, reconsider maybe.
It has its advantages to learning, but I think anybody who's taken a course or two has done it. So
I don't want to do it again. And guess what? I've actually got, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in this little mess here. Like a grayscale thing done, you know, probably on a computer. So it's like, I can check my values that way. Yes, it's good for me to know how to make it if I have to, you know, go from really light to really dark in increments, but I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. Don't make it. Don't make me. And I want to use more than just 3 primary colors. There's another thing too. I don't want to just use blue, yellow, and red and to make all my colors from there, because you can't. You can't just use cadmium red.
We are all the very defiant and oppositional today, aren't we?
Damn it.
I just want to do it my way.
And I want my luminous opera.
For sure.
It's pink. If you're wondering what luminous opera is, it's a
pink, and it's almost
amazing pink.
It's almost fluorescent.
Oh, it is. Well, it doesn't glow in the dark, but
it has that look.
Speaking of glow in the dark, I don't know if anybody wants to pop on, but that British, it's like an English paint company, and they have, if I think of the name, I'll send it to you. And they are known for making the blackest black paint acrylic, the whitest white, but then they also have these like really funky names for other paints. I've been dying to try those. Joanne has done their black and says it's like incredible.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of that company is.
Yeah, and I'm on their email list, so I get these really funny, they send the most hilarious emails out.
And they have really interesting names for their paint colors, right?
Yes, they do. And they're not, they do watercolors too. Their watercolors actually look quite spectacular, but maybe with shipping from the UK it would get very expensive, but I didn't think it was obscene. But I'm dying to try it. Like, some of their neons are just like,
Golden has a flat, so they're so flat paints that
Yeah,
has fluorescence. And I have a friend who's been using those, and she said they're brilliant.
she loves those.
She loves them.
So I have the golden, not flat, but the golden, just heavy body in the
Yeah,
neons.
no,
And I kind of
this is the new so flat that came out last
and
year. Yeah,
is it in a
it's in
jar or is it in a tube?
a little tub. You know,
Oh,
this tall.
I think I might have to go to the art supply store.
Oh gosh, doesn't this every week we end up going to the art supply store after we talk? You're bad for my budget.
I know. Oh, you were bad for my budget. Here's the bad thing. I actually don't have a fixed budget. It's just like, oh, I need this. I gotta go get it.
Oh my gosh. I wonder how many people who watch this show spend money after we talk. Sorry.
Or it's not our
Sorry.
fault, but you have honestly, over the years I've learned there are just certain colors you cannot replicate, and that just you got to get the right one.
Yeah.
Even when you're mixing it with something else, it's just got to be the right one. Yellows I'm going through like crazy right now. Mixing it to make some, like, there's that really cool like apple green. Which one? There's like a light yellow highlight. I'm already almost through the tube. Just
What is it?
the yellow, the cadmium. Connie,
Sorry, Connie.
Connie, this will make you feel better. Canadian Tire, you can get good art supplies too. This was my latest purchase. And these were like all on special. So that wasn't too bad.
So what's on tap for you the next couple weeks? What are you working on?
Well, I think this is done, so I've got to finish it up. This is a piece that I would like to submit to that Summer and Grace gallery show, water inspired, right? So the whole time I'm painting it, I'm going, water, 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 just trying to kind of get the movement of water and thinking about reflections and things like that. So that one, I don't think I'll have time to make another painting for that show, so I might just only be able to submit that. And just I want to put together some more submissions.
Right.
I have a deadline of the last day of March for a few things.
Yes.
For some different shows, and then just keep painting.
Yeah, that's the same trajectory I'm on right now. Douglas, that's a nice thing to
What
say.
did
I'm always motivated to
I missed it. What did
he
say?
said I'm just always motivated to get back to work on my pieces. I think he means after we all chat.
Oh, that's great.
It is.
That's great.
So
are you doing the same thing? You're submitting to different.
Yeah. Yep, I just got another piece accepted at a Federation Canadian Artists show. So that's like 3 for the last 4 shows that I've submitted to. I got things in, which I'm really excited about.
Great.
It just builds up my confidence in submitting, and it builds up my resume and just gets more eyes on the work, which is great. I was going to submit to Summer and Grace, but then for me to ship to Toronto is a bit of an issue, especially for big things, right? But Blue Crow Gallery, I don't know if you
Yes, and what's the deadline on that? Was that April?
April 28th.
Okay, so I got
end of April. And those are all 12 by 12 pieces. And the thing I liked about that is you submit, there's no submission fee, I believe. There's only a fee if the work gets accepted, which is kind of nice, right? Because $30 here, $20 there for submissions, it starts to add up after a while. So I'm going to submit there. Where else? I think there's another Federation show this summer. Thanks, Preeti's going to submit there too. And then there's been a couple of things that have popped up, and Connie and I need to talk. Langley Arts Council is doing its first ever fine art fair in August, and they are accepting applications, and you have to get a tent and a table, I think. I don't know, I have to look at the details, but that would be a big step for me to actually man a booth with work for a set number of dates. I think it would be great, but I'm also concerned about whether I have enough work sitting around that would be appropriate for that venue, because I'm imagining I wouldn't take a whole bunch of really big pieces. I might need to have some smaller pieces.
I think that you need kind of variety. We have when I saw Pretty go by, she just twigged that we also have the All Guilds show at the Burlington Art Gallery. Here's my dilemma. I don't have a lot of new pieces right now that aren't already elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
this would be a piece I'd submit to that, but I'm submitting it to Summer and Grace. So like, what do you do? And the All Guilds show, that show hangs for a few months. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
How many pieces do you need?
Well, you can submit up to 3. I had 3 in last year.
Would you submit anything that is sitting in your storage space?
I don't have much. Like, I have to be honest, I have not much sitting in my back area, and new work, it's almost like, you know, if I could clone a couple of paintings and submit them to different things, I would. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And then the BFAA also is we're taking part in the spring sale, and we're all submitting, or we've been asked to submit 12 by 12s.
Right.
That I think I'm good for. I think I have some 12 by 12. But any work of scale, I don't have a lot of, well, basically this and that other big totem, but I think that totem's gone. So
well, and this is one of the challenges when you're applying to shows, is that sometimes the time from the submission to when you actually hear to when the work gets exhibited, if it's accepted, but then you kind of have to you have to put that work aside, right? Like you can't submit it anywhere else. You can't be showing it around on, well, you could show it on social media and just say that it's not for sale, but you can't put it on your website. You just kind of have to sit with it in limbo for a while until you hear. And sometimes there's a piece or two that would be appropriate to submit to a variety of places.
I know.
How does one decide, right?
So, Pretty says you would know the decision before the guild show.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Connie, I'll message you. We'll have coffee soon and catch up.
Oh, I want to come.
You're welcome to. Hop a plane.
Oh, and I'm going to be on that show that you were on last week.
Next week?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So Barb's on If This Canvas Could Talk next Wednesday at 1 p.m. your time.
It was, and it was.
I had a great conversation with them. They were both really lovely.
Yeah, so I'll be on this side of the screen instead of this side when we have.
And I was down.
You were here.
There.
You were here, right? You were like a little head down here, so that's where I'll be.
Yeah,
so watch next Wednesday.
Yes, and you better. I'll share when they post it. I'll share as well.
I just sent them a picture to use, so
good. It's kind of fun to not be the one taking care of the tech and
not that I do that.
the audience and all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. I don't know. Anything else going on, or we're almost at an hour. We've already
for 50 minutes, almost 50 minutes about God knows what.
What are you doing the rest of today?
Well, see, this is the thing. My afternoon is like my productive afternoon time is pretty much over.
Okay.
I'm good from about 10 a.m. till about 2, right? So I'll ask your opinion. I have to paint edges.
Okay.
Don't go away.
Not going anywhere.
Okay. There's no room back here. So I need to paint the edges of this guy, right?
Yes.
Maybe I could start that today. And I was thinking, you know what I've been doing with like the multicolored edges again?
Yeah.
Not solid. I don't think I want to do solid. So just like I don't wrap it. You know how some people wrap their design. I don't do that. Just kind of take some of the colors and do some big slashes of color. This is big, right? Like it's 14 inches, but I thought I would do that. So I could probably start on that. Oh, I love it. I want to see my favorite stripes.
I know. I love those ones. The top left.
I love that.
That's gorgeous.
That, my friends, is your luminous opera with probably some white and some Titan buff. Yeah. Is that not the most gorgeous pink? Honestly, you can't do it. I don't know how else you would replicate that pink.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It's just sings. Like it's just such a gorgeous candy pink.
Yeah. I am.
How about you? Yeah. What are you doing?
I am working on. I'm getting started on the 12 by 12 pieces I want to submit to Blue Crow, and the backgrounds are magenta on these ones.
Ooh.
So I'm
How
gonna,
now? Your thoughts on that magenta? Like the magenta, like the Thanks, Mart. I'm gonna go slashes of color on the side. Quinacridone, friend or foe?
yeah, I love it. Quinacridone magenta, my favorite. What I'm going to add to it though, what I
Yeah.
did on a recent piece is I added a little bit of white because it's too
Yes.
transparent. And then I added some permanent maroon. I don't know if you have permanent
I have
maroon.
it. It's dark, 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 dark. Like a
Yes.
dark wine color, right?
Yes. And you know what? Together they made a really nice magenta for a back for the backdrop. So I'm going to be working on a couple of smaller pieces that again are combining all of these approaches. So leaving a slash of background color in the middle and then adding some collage and maybe the sanded back collage bit that's part of it. And then some of the transparent organic shapes, but they're going to be quite, they'll be small. They'll be 12 by 12. So just kind of trying to play with those ideas and push them a little bit farther there. But I did a piece recently with a magenta background, and oh my gosh, my colors, all my favorite colors, they just
Yeah.
sing. They sang beautifully
Yeah.
on top of that color.
And when you
So
can get it opaque and get like this beautiful flat.
yes, yeah.
I know that's why we paint, isn't it? Though you find that what keeps you painting, coming back to it and going through the hours of like, is that little something that happens where you just go, holy crap, like it's like your essence.
That's it. It's like that little inch right there. That's just making me
That's all.
happy today.
I just should make stripes because that's how I feel about stripes. But stripes next to something really crazy. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. All right. Well,
What's our next? Do we have someone next time?
yes, next week we have Robin Davison
Okay.
as a guest, right? From Baltimore, Washington, D.C., East Coast, anyways. And she's interesting, she's interesting for many reasons, but she has in the last year or so opened her own studio gallery art space that invites people from the community to come in and make art. She paints as well. She has a really interesting background that she'll talk to us about, but she was a scientist for many years running a successful research lab before she decided to move into a second career. So I'm really excited to talk about her. She's with us next week, and then the week after, the 28th of March, is our next No Brush Required Reads. Yeah, so we've got that Brian Rutenberg book, Clear Seeing Place, as our everybody should read it. If
everybody, you don't have to be an artist.
You don't have to be an artist, and it's bite-sized chapters, little essays that he's written about being an artist and his experiences, and it's very readable. And we're going to chat about that on the 28th of March.
And then perhaps one day we may just invite him.
We may.
I would do it. I have no nerves about that. Yeah. I'll send my usual nice invitation.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Then I'd get nervous. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
What's the worst that can happen? I said this last week to Jeanette and Terry. I said, because they were saying, inviting high-profile artists on as guests, and like the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. And actually, the worst thing is when they ghost you, and that's happened a couple of times. But we just haven't heard back from people, and you don't know if that they didn't get your message or they get a billion messages and you just didn't make it through the filter or whatever.
Yeah. But we've found, actually, it's almost like the more I don't know, how would you describe it? The ones that we were most nervous about inviting are often the ones that say yes and surprise us with just how incredibly delightful and kind and generous they are.
And easy to talk to.
They make us feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
We don't have to try and make them feel comfortable. They make us feel super comfortable. So send your suggestions. Maybe there's somebody big out there we don't know about.
We have a big list. Last year we collated a huge list.
Yeah,
we need to go back to that. We just haven't been very organized.
Well, we've been taking holidays, and you're going away. We're just, you know what? Like, I think we were chomping at the bit to get out of town, and it's sort of happened a few times. So
yeah.
Yes.
Good for us. All right, so you go and have the rest of enjoy the rest of your pie day. Get Roman out there to get his pie, and I'm going to paint for a while, and then I'm going to make a pie.
I want to see a picture of that pie
Okay.
with the crust. I want to know if the crust is flaky.
Well, you know what? I'm a crust cheater. I usually do a graham cracker crust
I love
because it's
graham cracker.
tried and true, and there's nothing worse than making a really great pie and your pastry sucks. It just detracts from the whole thing.
Doughy.
It ruins it.
Doughy, like a doughy crust. I like it when it's flaky, and if you warm it up, it kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
Graham cracker crust is really good.
So I'm a good baker, but I wouldn't say I'm a good pastry chef.
That's
There's
a science, right? It's a science.
Yeah.
I don't even try, so I just go buy pie.
Okay, well, enjoy. Thanks, so guys, for being with us today. We really appreciate you jumping in the conversation, Connie and Preeti and Brenda and Douglas, all of you guys who shared with us. We will see you next week.
Okay. Have a good one.
Yep, already on.
Already on.
Bye.